Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, then you are listening to an unsociable hour. My name is Matthew Elliott White, and I want to introduce you to awesome people. And this evening, that awesome person is Derek Vasconi. Dude, I just need to say that the amount of planning that typically goes into this, I try and run through everything, but we are literally doing this on the fly, dude. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no, first of all, thank you for having me, and I think it's an amazing thing what you're doing, and yeah, totally on the fly, so it'll be fun. But I'm just gonna apologize in advance. I have really bad hay fever allergies, and especially here in Japan, I am all fucked up. So if I cough a lot, I'm just apologizing in advance because you'll probably hear that. Everyone thinks I have COVID because it's oh no, he's coughing, he must be dying of this terrible, horrible, stupid fucking virus that's destroyed our world. I'm like, nope, I'm just this is every day for me. So.
Dude, bless you. Well, I hope that the hay fever definitely clears up eventually. I hope that it doesn't kind of do you, too rough. Fucking COVID, man. It is. I mean, we're going to get into it anyway, but it's mental, isn't it? Everything that's happening.
Yeah. How is it in your part of the world? Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with you?
Yeah, so here in the UK, I live in Nottinghamshire, which you might know from Robin Hood.
Robin the Hood, yeah. Sure.
So it was a glorified thief. I mean, let's be honest. But I will say, in the UK, it felt like at first the government were trying to take the right steps, but in the last few days, we've had one guy in particular who's like a government advisor called Dominic Cummings, who has completely disregarded the lockdown rules, has travelled 200 and something miles out to go and visit a family member. And our Prime Minister has now decided that he's not going to hold him to account for that. So suddenly it's made everybody think, well, why the hell have I been doing it? Why the fuck, why would I do it? So things are a little bit kind of questionable at the minute. They're trying to take us out of lockdown. Some people agree with it, some people don't. But ultimately, we've just kind of got to follow the advice that comes. So we're not out of the woods yet, but they are slowly trying to do things. What about in Japan? How are you guys holding up now?
I mean, it's weird because I've felt mostly unaffected by it at first. And then all the live houses closed, and that really fucked my whole life up because I live in the live houses here. My life is going to idol shows, literally every day. I work at them. I just go to them sometimes just for my own personal pleasure. That's how I meet with the idols, take their checky for Idol Underworld. I can't do any of that now. I mean, it's only recently it's starting to get back. For example, last weekend or so, I was at Akiba Colors in Akihabara, which is a really famous kind of underground Chica live house. And have you been there by any chance? Because you've been here before.
I've not been to that particular live house, but I have been to Akihabara.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like otaku heaven. Everybody has to go there at least once. But I'm saying this place, it's you walk by, you wouldn't even know it's a live house if they didn't have a little sign posted, because it literally looks like a professional work building. You go down this little basement, the rooms, I mean, it's about as big as my apartment, which isn't saying much. My apartment's about the size of a little toilet room, and so is this live house, but it's amazing. It's kind of the home base for Hisatsu Imomomo 7, and all their friends play there, Aphrodite plays there, Mary Bad End plays there. And it just now started to open up. And for example, when I say open up, though, I don't mean lives. The Hisatsu Emo members were taking a bunch of checky there and doing various activities for their online sales and stuff. And they invited me to come there and take checky of them. So that's the first time I've seen them in a month and a half. And then Aphrodite started to come out of the woodwork, and they too, their members are starting to slowly be allowed to be seen. So I took checky of them. So little by little, groups are coming back. The live houses seem to start to want to come back. But again, we've been in lockdown here. But now they're thinking about lifting lockdown. Because the other day, we only had 3 reported cases of the virus. But here's the thing. Everything's government controlled here. so those reports, everybody's like, yeah, it's bullshit. Like, we all know, like, there's been a big cover up. It's been since day one, you know? They were all saying, like, oh, there's no problem. And then the minute the Olympics were not going to be on, they're like, oh, we have a big problem. Everybody's got to go in lockdown. So it's like, what the fuck, you know? So everybody kind of now is sort of just doing their own thing. But here's the issue. Everybody in Japan already has practiced social distancing well before there was ever a need to practice social distancing. First of all, everybody wears masks here. You know, back when everybody was laughing at them for wearing it, they were wearing it because of this very reason. They don't want to get anybody sick. And then two, everybody's very like hygienic. Like, for example, you go in live houses and stuff, even before this, like you have to wash your hands, you know, like people are real clean here. And then on top of that, like there's no physical touching here as much as there is in other places. You know, when they meet, what do they do here? They bow. That's a real thing. That's not like a movie thing. And so, you know, it's very rare. Like, for example, when I meet up with like a lot of my friends here that are Japanese, and of course the idols, I don't touch them at all. Like it's bowing, it's very polite gestures. So there's no real touching. I'm not saying that Japan isn't a fucking dirty place. There's certainly places like you go to Shinjuku in the morning, you know, or
yes,
Shibuya, you know, at like 7, 8 in the morning, and it's like a fucking war zone of trash everywhere, trash and like drunk ass like people that didn't make it home on that last train the night before. So it can get pretty dirty pretty fast, especially to go in some of the dirtier places, like the sketch places, like where all the live houses are, basically, because all the live houses in Japan, I swear to God, they have to be, it's a requirement that they're in the worst shithole areas of Japan. But it's like, how do I put it? Everybody's like been like, okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. No one's like necessarily flippant about it, but it's more like just release the lockdown, right? So we can get back to work. You know what I mean? Like everybody's kind of, we're all itching to get back. And I'm sure you guys are too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, firstly, kind of obviously the fact that Japan has, as you say, has practiced social distancing for so long. And even when me and my wife, when we were traveling through Japan, we would wear the face masks on the public transport purely as a sign of respect. And when we brought them back, it was kind of strange because we actually came back to the UK on the 4th of January. And it was only about a week or two later that we started getting the news from Wuhan. So I kind of came back with this pack of face masks that, at the time that I bought it, was almost a pure novelty. Oh. And now it's kind of like you've started to see, even in rural parts of England, like in the town where I'm from, people are wearing these face masks. So it is insane. What you were saying about the live houses, they always do seem to be in like strange, dimly lit locations. Like I never saw any while I was walking through places like Akasaka. I never saw them kind of out in the place. It was always like Sugamo or in Shinjuku, which I must say, the Golden Guy would definitely be one of those places where you would not want to be on the morning after.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but a lot of the places like Golden Guy, for example, like, you know, a lot of those bars will stay open until the morning, so you can just stay there and just drink, even though technically that's not, I think, allowed in some cases. They don't care. But I will say this, like in Shinjuku, for example, like the majority of the live houses for idols are in Kabukicho, which is like, well, everybody says like the most dangerous part of Tokyo, but I think it's more Roppongi where all the foreigners are, because they're the ones that cause all the trouble. And I hate to be anti-foreigner because I am one, but it really is kind of true. But it's like everything's in Kabukicho, and Kabukicho, that's where like all the love hotels are, all the bars, Golden Guy. So it's like, you know, it can get pretty sketch there. And but I mean, I don't know, if you're a tourist though, it's different. Like, I don't know, and if you're an idiot and go into like the bars with, you know, the Nigerian toots are like, yeah, come in here and have one drink, and then you end up with a $500 bill. It's your own fucking fault. You know, you should know better. But if you just kind of keep to yourself, no one's gonna bother you. You know, like I've never had a single issue. So
I think that's the truth. I think that's the thing of kind of like, you have to be street smart wherever you are. No matter, even whether you're in Japan, in the US, in the UK, you've got to know where the scams are. And I think a lot of people, they hear that Japan is safe, which by all means it is, because the Japanese people, well, everybody that I've spoken to has been, you know, very nice and very accommodating. But I think people tend to think that, oh, it's safe in all of Japan. So suddenly I can bring that London attitude over and people will just kind of accept that. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the tourists who do come. I suppose it's like when tourists go to any country. I mean, have you traveled throughout Europe at all?
Yeah, when I was with Necroma, we toured pretty much all of Europe. So.
Oh, how was that? How did you find that?
I mean, it was cool, you know. I mean, I've never had a like burning desire to go to Europe, but I certainly enjoyed my time in certain places. You know, the beer was really good, so I drank a lot of that.
I think I think there's a problem with the stereotype of, well, it's not a problem because I think it's true. The stereotype is that you do tend to have a lot of people kind of turn up at Amsterdam or rock up in Hamburg or all these European cities that is quite known for going on like stag do's and big drinking places. And it's where you tend to get a lot of, especially English people, you know, we tend to get arrested a lot, you know, the ones who act out. And I think that some people will do that anywhere in the world, including Japan, especially maybe in places like Roppongi and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, it to me, it's like, it is what it is. I mean, for me, how do I put it? Like I live in a country now, you know, here in Japan, where it's like a common practice to not say the word no. So think about that. Like if you have a disagreement with somebody who's Japanese, they're going to like run through a forest, you know, go on an Olympic sprint marathon, maybe go up to the moon before they'll ever say no to you. And what they'll do instead is they'll beat around the bush. I mean, endlessly until you get the message that it's no. And so that's how much they don't want to have confrontation or conflict. Like one of my biggest pet peeves here are like the fucking slow ass like jerk offs who like are on their phone and they're like staring at their phone while they're walking, and I'm trying to get somewhere and they're just taking their good old time and they're right in front of me and it's like hard to get around them. I mean, I'll just arm body check them. I'll be like, get the fuck out of my way. And you know, it's usually a Japanese person. I hate to say that, but it usually is. And because, you know, I'm surrounded by Japanese, and they'll look at me with a shock, and I look back at them like, and I literally said this for, I'm like, do something. I'm like, let's have fun today. You want to go? And like they just look at me, and then they'll bow, and I'm just like, you pussy. And then I just keep walking. Now I don't know why I would do that. If they actually want to fight me, here's the thing: if I threw a single punch, I would go to jail, not them. I would lose my visa. It'd basically be game over for me. So I don't know why I tempt fate like that. But then I've gotten to the point where like, get the fuck out of my way, or I'm gonna crush you. And I'm a small guy, so I mean, I'm talking like I'll body chuck like 7 foot tall like Japanese freaks, you know, and they'll do the same thing to me. They'll just give me that like stare of shock, and then I'll just look at them back. I'm like, yeah, let's go. You ready? And then they just don't do nothing. I'm waiting for the one dude though that turns around and says in perfect English, "I will fucking kick your ass." I'm like, oh, I'm done. Game over. See ya. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
I love how like you've brought that kind of true American spirit to that situation.
Oh yeah, man.
How pissed off must you get when the guy that you are pissed off at bows at you and walks away in that situation?
It's like a personal point of pride for me that they do that, but it's also kind of like, I'm a fucking asshole. I'm an idiot. Because like why do I should just not worry about that kind of stuff. It's little things like that that kind of tick me off about living here. But it's like when that happens, like there's a part of me that like I just kind of want to fight. I'm not a fighter. I'm not that type, but I am American. I'm East Coast. So I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. Like it's like we don't take no shit from anybody. Like I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care what you are. I don't care how important you are. Like don't fuck with me. And so I have that shitty attitude a lot, and it's like here in Japan that doesn't work at all. So I've had to like readjust myself completely, and that's been difficult. Although in the Idol world it works fine because everyone's cool with each other. Like the Idol world's like very peaceful. There's very few dickheads here that like I got to worry about. Sometimes fans can be a little sketchy, but even them, it's like they usually have reasons, you know, because they're fucked up in their head or whatever. And it's like I could be the nicest person in the world, it wouldn't matter. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't really see it that much because, again, the majority of my life here in Japan has been spent at idol shows or idol lives or working with idols. And idols are they're super nice all the time. Like, I very rarely have an idol who's a fucking jerk. I mean, I've been around idols that are jerks. I've been around idols, but it's like I don't really deal with them. Like all the idols I work with, they're fucking awesome. So it's all good.
I'm glad that the idols that you choose to kind of work with and have those interactions with aren't dickheads. It's a shame. It would be a real shame to think that anybody you had to kind of work with in that environment would be a dickhead. But I'm quite surprised. I would have thought that you'd have come across a lot of dickheads, kind of like fans, like, because I mean, I suppose me and you and a lot of the listeners they'll approach it from like our Western culture where there's a little bit of, I'm not going to say taboo, but it's kind of like there is a preconception that if you are an American or a British person, if you are a gaijin, essentially, who are going to idol shows, a lot of people who kind of don't understand the culture, don't understand the community, will sometimes look at you as though you're just a bit of a creep.
Well, I mean, for me, it's a little bit different because I'm like one of basically two foreigners in the entire idol industry, basically, like that works. And so a lot of people, I'm not like bragging or anything, but a lot of people know me because it's like I sort of stick out. And then also too, like when they see a white person in the backstage, the gakuya as it's called, they're always like, what the fuck is this white person doing back here when it's only Japanese? So they learn pretty fast who I am. But at the same time, I mean, the fans also kind of give me that look when they see me at a show and they don't know me, and then they see me with a checky camera and they're like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this guy doing? I always get a lot of joy out of those moments because it's like, I don't know if they're looking at me out of jealousy or whatever, but it's also like they all tend to be pretty open and nice to me. Although, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of like Japanese is the only way to go type fans, or like Japan only is the best in the world and everybody else sucks. I mean, I've been around many types of fans. There's the quiet ones, the ones that are like, they do like secretly want to like stab you with a knife, but they'll never will. But it's like, how do I put it? I feel like in the idol world, there's just a huge level of respect. And again, the secret in Japan, and I'll share this with you and everybody's listening. If you ever come to Japan, you have to understand that Japan as a society is all about roles. What role do you take in life? So the minute a fan defines me as Kankesha, as staff, they'll treat me accordingly. And that can come with good and bad, because sometimes I'll get a Japanese fan that might spout off more Japanese I can possibly handle, and then I don't know what they're saying, and then I look like a stupid Kankesha. And then there's, the fans that are like, they understand I'm Kankesha, and they'll basically leave me alone, because as Kankesha, I then become, I don't exist. Because Kankesha staff is, we're in the background. We're not important. Like, the idols are what's important, and I like that. So as long as I'm, able to take a checky ticket and then take a good checky picture, and in a lot of cases, if I'm working an idol show, that's all people give a shit about. Like I was, for example, I was working for Yoniko a couple months ago, and she asked me to come work for her one night, and I was like, of course, I'll do anything for her because she's fucking Yoniko. Like, I mean, she's a legend. And also, me and her we've built over a good relationship over the past half year or so. We've worked together, and I don't know, I just adore her. I adore all the idols I work with, but I really adore her because who she is. But her history is unbelievable, and so she has super loyal fans. I mean, loyal beyond loyal. And so the first time I ever worked for Yoniko, they were really curious why I was there. Every single fan asked her, why was I there? Because they didn't really know me. A couple of the fans knew me from working with Necroma, and a couple shows that Necroma did with Yoniko, they knew me from that. But it was like sight only. They're like, I think I remember that white guy taking at the Buppon table for Necroma. But they were completely baffled. So then this next time, the time I'm referring to now, a couple of them were real cool to me. They were like, oh, hey, Derek, how are you? And they were real nice. A couple of them were still had their guards up. And then some of them were just still giving me the stink eye, like, what the fuck are you doing with Yoniko? But it's cool because I never take that personally. Like, maybe when I first started, but like working with Ricky and he taught me so much about all of this, the idol world, the industry, like how to act. Now I'm just kind of like, it's all good. I get to work with the people I want to work with in this life, and that's all that matters to me. And of course, the fans are important. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, if a fan has a problem with me or something, something, I mean, they can fuck off. Like, I don't really care. And if they do got a problem, if it's a legit problem, I'll fix it. I'll do my best to. You know what I mean? So but there isn't any. I don't know. Like, I've had a pretty smooth run here as far as that goes. You know, like, everyone's fairly cool. I'm not saying everyone's totally cool. Again, I have been around assholes, both staff, idol, and fan, all of them. But it's kind of like not the norm. You know what I mean? It's more like the exception to the rule, and I'm so happy about that.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that obviously you can count, maybe you could probably count the negative experiences you've had, whereas you couldn't count all of the great ones you've had. So thank you for sharing that as well, because that is kind of like an insight into, I love idol music, but I could not even know I would not even know where to begin in terms of the industry and what you must have to have gone through to kind of be at the point where you're at now. The last two guests I had on, Adam and Andrew, we kind of had this discussion of how do you navigate the idol scene? Because it is almost, it's changing all the time, or it feels like it's constantly evolving. It must be quite difficult to kind of get on top of it, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, so I'm working right now on a documentary for idols, and I've been working on it. Like, I filmed it all, last year. Although I did take some extra footage the other day, just as like B-roll. But I'm working my way through it with my editor, and the big point of the documentary is like, why did these girls become idols? But along the way to answering that question, with several idols that I have interviewed and I followed, I interview staff and the music promoters. Not so much the fans, because I kind of want to do a different kind of doc. But the one big thing you're going to see right when the documentary starts is a quote that I actually came up with, and it's this: idols are here today, gone today. And like, I had this discussion with Ricky from Necroma, Necroma's producer, a long time ago, because we were talking about like Bell Ring, Shoujo Girl's Heart, and how amazing they were. I mean, Yoniko was in that, and like, theirs, and like, I remember it was like when the theirs were like, they announced their disbandment last year in January or whatever, and then they had that final live that they were about to do. We were talking about like how crazy that is, that this iconic group was over. But then Ricky was kind of telling me, and I agree with him, that like the nature of idol is transient. It's not meant to be forever, and that's what makes it so beautiful. So you kind of have to embrace that quality that it's not going to last. And it's also very Zen and Buddhist if you think about it in those terms. It still doesn't mean it can't hurt a lot when your favorite Oshi is gone, your favorite group is no longer in existence. I've had that happen multiple times to me in my life as an idol fan and as a staff too. But you kind of just have to roll with it, and you kind of always have to understand that there's thousands and thousands of idols. So for every idol you lose, there's probably 100 waiting to replace that idol or that idol group. So it's not so much that you're losing an idol as that idol served you for that time and you got what you needed out of that idol, and then it's time to move on to a new idol that can give you something else. That's not easy to do, though, for a lot of people. If you have an idol who is like your one and only, your Kamiyoshi, and like she says, I'm done, that can fuck you up, because like imagine you've gone to an idol for years and years and years, and then like she announces graduation. I mean, what do you do? It's like, oh my God, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on you, taken check you over the years. I have all your merch. I've been to all your events, and you're leaving. That's a heavy blow. But more so, I think, for a lot of the true idol fans, it's a heavy blow because it's almost like you're missing a friend. It's like, well, what am I going to do now? Because like many times these idols, they disappear into the ether. Like you never see them again. Or they become completely normal and have a husband and 3 kids or whatever. You're just like, huh? Like it is mind blowing. You can get caught in that idol cycle of thinking, but that's the beauty of idol. Remember what the idol world exists for. It is an escape. It's a pressure valve of release for everybody here in Japan, and now lots of people in the world over are using it for the same reason. But at the end of the day, it's just an escapism. It's a form of escapism. It's a highly evolved form of escapism. And Japan has a lot of those, like if you look at, for example, like the soap lands here, which, Gaijin can't really go to, but there was this really amazing book that reporter, some lady, I think, she got access to all these like really deep into the soapland world type industry places. And I mean, no guy's ever seen it probably. I think it was called Inside the Pink Box. So if you can find that book, I highly recommend it. All it is photos. But oh my God, just all the different types of fantasy situations you can have if you got money and that's what you need. And it's like, it got me thinking, like, that's what Japan is. Again, what did I say Japan's important for? Roles. So when you come to an idol show, you might have been a lawyer before you stepped into, let's say, Akiba Colors, before you walk down that long basement steps and entered those two gates and, transported yourself into the idol fantasy world. You were a lawyer on the outside. Inside, that don't matter. You're an idol fan. And then I've literally seen dudes rip off their custom tailor-made suits and have idol t-shirts underneath their button-ups, and they just go fucking crazy. And they're like, usually a lot of times those guys are like the ones that have the most passion because it's a release for them. And the idols know that. A lot of that, that's what they're trained to do, is get you to release and then help you, through whatever it is you're going through, to help you smile. And if they've done that, then their job, that's mission accomplished. And then it's symbiotic because, as my documentary is going to show, a lot of these girls need the fans just as much as the fans need them. And that's very fascinating to me. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that is an amazing way to... I never looked at it. I never saw it from that point of view before. Do you think that because it is so heavily important for escapism, do you think that the weight of expectation on the idols, like, what do you think is the weight of expectation there?
It depends. Well, the weight of expectation, that's a great question. It's more, I think, to do with, for example, what the idol's intention or purpose is and who's supporting that. So, for example, like, if you look at, like, let's say you're an idol going into, like, the whole whack industry, Watanabe's whole whack idol management company or whatever, you might have enormous expectation because you're joining, potentially groups that, their major label debuted or whatever. I mean, it's like they're the top. So your expectation is crazy versus you join some group that basically only plays the shittiest of Chica live houses every weekend. Yeah, maybe your expectation is not that high. But maybe, let's say in that case, you have a fan who comes and sees you every single show, no matter what shitty live house you're at, no matter when it is or where. And then you start to feel that weight of expectation, perhaps. Like, oh my God, like, my fan's going to be here tonight. Even though I feel like shit today, I got to put on my best face and make sure that he gets what he needs or she gets what she needs. Because there's plenty of female fans too. And like, once they get on that stage and they transform as well, remember, they're leaving their lives at the door too, all these idols. So they might be student by day. Like for example, like Chihiro from Mary Bad, she's a student and she busts her ass every fucking day to go to school. But when she's on that stage, I don't see her as a student. I see her as this like fierce goddess of death who like really rains down the weirdness, the funniness. I mean, everything. Like, she's amazing. Like, she transforms. And like that symbiotic relationship you have is all based on that transformation being complete. So like, when you look at it in that sense, yeah, there is a lot of pressure because you have to make that transformation believable. Unless your whole shtick is I'm just normal and I'm not really an idol, then I guess you're not really an idol. But some idols have made an art of that too. And that in a way is almost an escape of its own, if that makes sense. Like, it's like everybody's pressure and expectations really depends on, like what your goal is, and also, yeah, your management company. Because like a lot of management companies can be extremely crushing with the expectations that they have. And then some of them are real chill and laid back. And then if you're self-produced, I guess the expectation is what you put on yourself. Some girls that are self-produced, they put a lot of expectation on themselves, a lot of pressure. And again, this is all stuff my documentary is kind of examining, which is interesting you're asking, because you'll see some of these girls under the weight of pressure they have, and it's intense. It's really intense.
Dude, that is awesome. I want to... Dude, what I will say right now is that I'm stuttering because they are such good answers.
Oh, thank you so much.
I imagine, Derek, that when people kind of sit down and talk to you, what they want to talk to you, and we will get onto this eventually, I imagine a lot of people want to talk to you from the perspective of being kind of involved in working in the idol scene, but from a different perspective, as a fan, can you remember what brought you into the idol scene?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I was working out on a treadmill in my apartment in Pennsylvania, and I just wanted something to watch on like my phone, and like I found AK Bingo from AKB48. It was like their variety program, and I was like, what the fuck is this? It was English subtitled. It was so funny. I don't know, like I was laughing hysterically at what I was watching. I didn't really understand it, but it touched something in me that led me down the path of at least knowing what idols were. But I still didn't kind of have the full concept. Like I just thought, like I only knew about major idols like AKB. And so I started to check out AKB. I went to a few of their concerts. It was pretty cool. You know, it was fun. And I went to some of their handshake sessions, and all of that was great. But then at the same time, I had been coming to Japan for, God, like 10 years to do research. Because I'm a writer, and I like to write about horrific and crazy and fucked up things. And like a lot of horrific and crazy and fucked up things can be found here in Japan if you know where to look. And I was like, one of the trips I was coming here, I was like, I need something interesting to do while I'm here also, because it can't be all craziness. Like, and I saw this video online of Guso Drop and Ray, you know, swinging a baseball bat at an Idol fan, and I'm like, what is this? Looks cool, and the music was great, and I'm like, oh, this is metal. Like I came from the metal world, so I decided to go to one of their shows. So I went to their show in UNSOCiABLE, and I'll never forget it, because I went there and I didn't know what to expect. I know I had to take my Japanese friend with me, because I didn't even know how to get to the venue, because again, it's a shitty, you know, basement venue. Although I love UNSOCiABLE now, but anyways, like. I remember walking up to the stage, and I went right up front, like every foreigner does at idol shows, because they don't know better. And I like saw Guso get on stage, and there was Yura Pico. She stood right in front of me, and she smiled at me in her classic Yura smile. And I didn't know any of them. I just knew the one with the baseball bat, Ray, and I didn't really know her name either. And as soon as the music started, the Gushin, which is the name that the fans are called of Guso Drop, they fucking obliterated me. I was a pancake on the wall. I was literally human slime on the wall, but it was amazing. Like it was utter fucking chaos. It was like pandemonium to the 10th degree, and I'm like, I'm in heaven. This is because I was in a hardcore grindcore band a long time ago. I'm used to that, and I was usually the one making that chaos because I was on stage playing guitar and going nuts the whole time. So it just resonated deeply with me. But at that show, like after they were done playing, all these dudes were lining up to take a Polaroid camera picture with the girl. I'm like, what the fuck, huh? And so I was like, okay, well, I'll go line up for the girl with the cute smile, Yura. And so I went into the line. I had no idea what I was doing. And I went up to her, and I went to give her a big hug, and I almost got fucking tackled by like the staff. And Yura was like, what the, like, she's like, no. And I'm like, what'd I do? And they're like, you can't touch them.
Oh,
and then everybody started to explain to me the concept of idol, like the real concept of idol. And I should have known this from being an AKB fan, but it was totally a different thing. Like it's hard to explain, but it just, there's something much more intimate here. Like in the AKB handshakes, you had 3 seconds per ticket to basically say, hey, hi, how are you? Before like you're getting shoved out by police and like the handshake booths. Versus here, you buy a ticket, you can buy 40 tickets and sit there and talk to like Europe, for example, all night. And like she'll shake your hand. And then she's not, I mean, many idols, I mean, they'll do a lot more. You know, there's plenty of idols that will hug you. There's plenty of idols that will like have their hands on you the whole time. Like, there's some idols I used to work with that, like, I mean, the one I could think of, like, she'd have her hand on you the whole time, like touching your hair and shit. Like, you'd fall in love with her. I mean, that's all calculated, of course. That's all manipulation. But at the time with Yura, I just didn't understand that whole relationship. So then I didn't stop. Like every Monday at Rokumeikon in Meguro, Guso would have their Tekikon, their like monthly show. But it was like, I think it was like every Monday. And so I started to come to Japan just to go to those shows. And then I started going to more shows for them. And then one day, like the Gushin, somebody from the Gushin just came over and started talking to me and accepted me in. And then like they had an English person, somebody who speak English, come over and talk to me because they were curious, like, why is this white kid at all these shows, and why does he start? Like, I was dancing, you know, I'm a hardcore kid, so I started fucking like slamming, like I started dancing and like drop kicking people and fucking crowd surf. I mean, I was, because again, it's pandemonium at Guso shows, anything goes. And then there was one song they had called Kira Kira. And there's a part in the middle where Anna like does this really long like yell or scream where it's like it goes on forever. And I started to do that every time they played that song. I would like clear everybody out and I would start to do push-ups right in the middle of like the pit. And then that got me really famous with everybody because then everybody started to do it. And then pretty soon like the Gushin would like take my legs when I was doing push-ups and they'd swing me around, or some dudes would like jump on me, or they'd just pick me up and throw me. And it was just chaos. But in that, like when that fan came over and talked to me, he like, you know, buy me beers, he bought me all their CDs or DVDs for Guso. I mean, they accepted me, and then it got to be this idea that Idol is about community. It's about the fandom being together and having that cheering for your idol and supporting them, and that really resonated with me. And then the other thing that happened after that was that Guso started playing with like all these groups that I started to learn about, like Yanemu and Necroma, and like they played with everybody. And so I started to get introduced to other groups that actually started to touch my heart. Because for a while I was just Guso only, like Guso or die. And then I got into Hanako, then it was Guso and Hanako or die. And then later I got into Yanemu and then Necroma, and then the rest is history. Because then I switched over to being fan to staff.
Could you imagine going back and seeing yourself at one of the Guso Drop Monday night shows? Imagine that kid then knowing what you know now. Could you imagine somebody else coming up to you and saying, you know, one day you will be so far in this, you're going to struggle to actually, you know, carry everything. Dude, it is amazing.
Yeah, it's... Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please, after you.
It's just weird because, like, you know, my documentary starts with like almost an hour of footage of Bakuretsu Joshi, who is now what's Guso Drop, and Yura has, like, they let me into their lives. They gave me one of the best interviews I've ever had of any idol group that I've interviewed. I mean, 3 hours, and then on top of that, they let me see every fucking detail of Ray's last show. Like, I'm backstage. I have my camera in every single moment backstage. And then on top of that, I'm on the stage with them at Ray's show. I'm literally on the stage. And then at one point, I just jump in the crowd. And then the crowd lifts me up, and I'm being crowd surfed. And it's like, this is a group that I followed for how long? And now I get to tell their story. And I work with them with Idol Underworld. I mean, not so much anymore because like they're kind of doing their own thing. But it's like I've gotten to sell thousands of dollars of their merchandise to fans. It's like, talk about full circle, you know? You're right. I wouldn't believe it if somebody were to have told me that it's been 6 years now since I became an Idol fan. Like, it'd just be crazy.
That is when you were kind of crowd surfing, and in that moment, I mean, I'd like to ask questions about the documentary, but I don't want to spoil anything. I wouldn't want you to kind of give anything out.
Okay.
But there must have been a moment where you were crowd surfing where you just thought, how did I go from the Monday night show to this moment right here? And everything must have just made sense, you know, just kind of like that perfect moment where you just think, yeah, you've gone full circle, or you are now on a journey that is, but yeah, 6 years later kind of thing, yeah, and like, here you are.
Right, here I am. And the weird thing is, like, the very first thing I ever filmed for this doc was a show in Shibokitazawa at Shelter. It was like one of the last shows before Ray graduated, and I the girls let me on stage with them there, and that stage is small. And at one point I was in the crowd because it was like, fuck it. I was like using it as kind of an excuse to go be a fan again. And all the old Gushin were there. So they were just loving the fact. They're like, oh my God, it's Derek. And they're like, oh, you can't believe you're here. And it's like, that's so cool you're doing a doc. So they all supported me. So at one point I got lifted up, and God bless her. She took a gallon of water and just spit it right at me and my camera. And then Rin headbutted my camera, and I'm just like, yep, just like the old days when Yura would literally unload an entire bottle of water in my fucking face, because she was my Oshi in in Guso, and so like she would always find me and always fuck me up. And a lot of times she would like jump on my shoulders and let me carry her around the venue. I mean, we eventually got to a place of real trust between each other. From that one moment I tried to hug her to that, which, is kind of an interesting thing. Like, I couldn't hug her, but here's this girl, like, and she's on me and I'm carrying her around on my shoulders and she's spitting in my face and, trying to avoid Miyako slapping people and me too. And Ray, ducking underneath her bat. Oh my God. And it's like, here I am filming them. This is incredible. And then even cooler was like when Ray graduated, Ray allowed me to film Knuckle Chihuahua, her band, and like their band they're wonderful. Those dudes are great. And Ray, like, I never had a relationship with Ray. I never did a checky with her ever. And like we never talked. Like never. And then here she is, like, yeah, it's cool, Derek. Like you can totally do this. I credit a lot of that though to the fact that like Necroma played with, Burst Girl fucking Anguso all the time. They were best friends. And so I got to see a lot of them as a staff person, and they got used to seeing me and helping, and I helped them a lot. So it's like I got to know like Ray. Unfortunately I didn't get to know Anna so much because she had left to Gugu by that time. But and also Anna was always very cold to me. She's very tsundere, which that's like her character anyways in Guso. So like I was never close to her, never close to Saki. Now I'm cool with Saki because I work there for Double Ann. And me and her are fucking tight. Like, we're cool. But it's like, Rin I was never close to. It was always Miyako and Yuro and Waka. Waka was pretty much my favorite because she had tattoos. So, like, Yuro and Waka I was always friends with. And now Waka's back in First Girl / First Girl, I don't know. And, like, I can't wait to see her and take Checky of her for Idol Underworld, which I hope, I'm still able to do that. I haven't seen him in, like, 3 months. So, I don't know what's going to happen. But it is cool, it's like fucking really full circle. The more I think about it, going down that. And my doc, I hope I did him right because I gave him a lot of time.
Dude, I will say right now, from what we've spoken about it, and I cannot wait for this documentary. So, so am I right in thinking you mentioned that it was Kickstarter?
Yeah, I'm at this point, like, my editor is not cheap. I mean, he's a great editor, but it's cost him $20,000 just to hire him. That doesn't even count anything else. So I don't have that money. I barely have money to live here. So it's like Kickstarter's got to be my salvation. So I am going to go the Kickstarter route. Once we get a trailer, we're just trying to get enough footage edited to actually put a trailer together. But now that we've been so deep in the editing process, it's like neither one of us even want to take time to stop to make a trailer because we're trying to get this done like as soon as possible. Like June is basically our deadline, and like we're nowhere near done. So I mean, but don't get me wrong, we have edited hours and hours of footage already. So I'm actually now starting to think it's going to be a docudrama series. It's not going to be one movie. It's going to be like 8 movies, and so it's going to be like 8 episodes or something, and it's going to be like a series. And if that happens, Kickstarter is really going to have to save me. Because if I don't make the money on Kickstarter, I have no idea what I'm going to do. So, but that's later. I'm not even thinking about that right now. I just want to get the doc done.
Well, as soon as it comes to that, let me know because I will 100% support you. And I'm pretty sure that most of everybody else in this community will as well because I want to ask a question about Idol Underworld, but I will say just before, for anybody that doesn't know what Idol Underworld is, you are single-handedly providing me and others like me fans of idol culture with merch that'd be impossible to get out here. Like I can't imagine. You couldn't even get AKB stuff in England. Do you know what I mean? Like the major idol stuff. You can't even get that. There was no Morning Musume. There was nothing. There's not even your Kiyokazaka or Hinatazaka right now. There is nothing here. So the majority of merch comes from you. So so the fact that you offer that service is incredible. So where did the inspiration for Idol Underworld begin?
Well, that that just seemed like, here's the thing, like I wanted to live in Japan. I didn't want to go be an English teacher because that's what every other gaijin does who doesn't have a total command of Japanese language, which I don't. I'm working on that, and I should have it by now. I really should, but it's just one of my worst traits is I'm just bad at that. So I'm getting on that. But that aside, the language barrier, I was thinking like, well, there's also this barrier, like you said, there's it's like almost impossible to get merchandise of idols because a lot of the idols, A, it's stuff you have to buy at the venue or like during the live event, or B, you have to use like a proxy service, and usually those proxy services all suck. Or it's just you just don't know, like you don't want to be spending all this money and not have like an assurance that was gonna, you're gonna see your merch. And so I'm in a position where I have a lot of people's trust because I don't fuck around and I'm very honest and I'm transparent, and I definitely, I just saw a need for it. But also, a lot of it also came from the fact that like Necroma, Ricky is so busy with Necroma, and like he was having a difficult time with his merchandise center. Oh, what was it on? The Bandcamp, and
Yes.
he was just having a really difficult time fulfilling orders. And it's not because he was like didn't care. It's like he's just busy. And it's like, trying to manage 5 girls in an idol group is not as easy as you might think. And then on top of that, I just knowing even a fraction of what he does, I just was in awe. So I'm like, Ricky, let me help you. Like, I'll help you with Bandcamp. So I started to do that. And then I was thinking, like, why don't I just take over everything? Like, let me just take all of your stuff and put it on a website and I'll do it. Like, so I don't even have to worry about Bandcamp. I can handle it. I can handle all the foreign fans, all your Japanese orders. It's fine. And he trusted me. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So when he did that, it got me thinking, well, shit, I know so many idol groups. It's like, and a lot of them know me and I'm cool with them. Like, let's make this happen. So I decided that, I was going to just reach out to a lot of these groups, and surprisingly, many of them were more than eager to do it. And then, like, I remember, like, when I sat down with Vitelli-chan from Nanomortal, I mean, it took all of 35 seconds for him to say, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, why? Why did you say yes so fast? And he told me, he's like, because any idol group that doesn't do this is basically an idiot. It's like, why wouldn't you do this? Like, it's like, here I am. I'm literally doing all the work. I mean, they don't have to do anything. They collect a paycheck. And so it's like, it's a good deal for them. And on top of that, I make very, very little. Like, there's some other people that do what I do, and I know that they charge a lot, and I don't. And so I think that's a big appeal for a lot of these groups. And also, too, they know me. I work with them every day. It's like, there's a trust there. Like, I'm not just some foreigner coming over to Japan to pick up, the flavor of the month group to go sell their stuff. It's like, I actually know these groups in and out. And like, there's something to be said about that, where it's like, how do I put it? When you have that trust and you're not being dishonest with these groups, that's very important in this business. I'm not saying other people that do this are being dishonest. Not at all. I'm happy there's other people that do this. I encourage it. Whether I like them or not, that's a whole other story. But it's like, I deeply encourage them to continue doing what they're doing. Anybody that does what I do. But you're right. It's like, I am a big part of why a lot of people have idol merch, and I'm really proud of that. But it's like, I'm just starting. Like I honestly, when this whole pandemic hit, I had just worked out a deal with like the biggest fucking group in Nagoya, which I've been trying to expand outside of Tokyo forever. And this group is like, they're on the up and up, and like they were like, I will totally, like, let's work together. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And on top of that, I started to tap into like the Ibeck and Leiwan crowd. That's a huge crowd. That's more of a Japanese crowd, but it's like, they're fucking huge here in that sense. And like, I was at their Teiki Koen, and they actually asked me to do Cheki for them. I did 200 Cheki for like just like 2 girls, and I was like, I was blown away. I mean, I literally, it was like work. It was like a real job, but it was so much fun because it was like the fans were so intense and so crazy about them. There were so many, and I got them. I got Ibeck and Leiwan to say yes, and so it's like, I started putting goals for myself to get bigger and bigger groups. But then it's also like, I only work with groups I like or people I like. Like, I'm not out to work with groups that are popular. I'm working with groups that like mean something to me, or like have have resonated with me. So like every single person that I work with that's on Idol Underworld means something to me. They're deeply important to me. There's not a single group that I didn't get or that I got just to get. You know what I mean? So I have personal relationships. When I say personal, I don't mean like personal. I mean like they know me. You know what I mean? And I think because of that, I've been able to reach out to a lot of fans and get them excited about stuff. Like, for example, like the other day, like Hanako messaged me and she was like, I want to take Techie of me being a deadly nurse. I'm like, okay, when do you want to do it? She's like, let's do it this time. Let's go here. I'm like, cool, let's do it. And so, you know, it's just a simple message. And then when I saw her, how like fucking adorable she was in her outfit, my original plan was only to take like 20 Techie. I'm like, no, let's do 30. And she was like, let's do it. And but then it was raining and I was like, what are we going to do? And she's like, fuck it, let's go to like a park. And I'm like, well, if you don't care about the rain, neither do I. And so we started walking, but then along the way we found like a public restroom. And she's like, oh, there you go. I'm like, yeah, that fits you. So like, here she is taking Checky, you know. I mean, there's like dudes like coming in there to take pisses, and because it was like a guy toilet, and we had to like step out every time. It was hysterical. But here she is, like in her element, and you know, pouring down rain, and I'm having the time of my life. And then I put those Checky up, and they sell out in a day. And I'm like, that's really cool. But I'm just starting. I'm really just starting. Like, I can't wait to get back to this because there's, like, at least 15, 16 more groups I have on my list of, like, I got to go to. And once I get my doc out, there's a certain person on the doc who has a lot of groups under him that I'm going straight for him. Because he has to approve the footage of the doc. And when I sit down with him, after he says yes, I'm like, by the way, I want every one of your groups. Can we do it? And I'm sure he'll say yes. I'm almost positive he will. So it's like those groups, they're at the top. And so if I get them, I will have basically worked with every group I want to work with. So, yeah. Sorry, that went off in a whole different direction what your original question was, but I thought it'd be an interesting story to tell you.
Dude, I think I just got goosebumps. Like, dude, on it, like hearing you just kind of be like, I'm going to do this, man, and then I'm going to him and I'm going to say, like, basically, I'm taking all your groups. That was like, holy shit, man. That is a level of commitment that I think is brilliant. It's amazing that you still have that drive. One thing that COVID could have done, I mean, you know, we spoke about this. One of the things that COVID could have done is totally kind of derail you, totally kind of make you think, oh, well, through no fault of my own, I've landed in this situation. I could just fucking give up. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been so easy to just think, fuck it. You know what I mean? You have gone the complete other way, and you have it's given you that drive. And I know that things have been hard, things have been difficult, but the fact that you've got that kind of drive to keep going, and not only that, you actually you were saying Idol Underworld is only at the start. Like, it is, I've already seen from when Idol Underworld started, you have an amazing amount of groups in there now. You know, so the thought that this is just the start, that ultimately you will have a much more expansive marketplace. And I will just say, I really like the idea that you've said that everybody on that page, every group that you work with, means something to you, and that you don't just kind of go around headhunting what is popular, because that, to me, that's almost like a quality check in a way. That's kind of like, just so you know, every group on here, they're awesome, and it means that as a customer, it's easy to see that those groups are awesome with you as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a trust there, and I hope I will always have the trust of those groups that I work with and the solo idols I work with. But the thing is, it's like my ambition. I've always been an ambitious person. I have a lot of goals, a lot of things I want to do. I am now almost done. I mean, I've been saying almost done for like 4 months now, but I am literally almost done with making another website for Idol fans that is a sister website to Idol Underworld. And when I roll that out, I'm hoping people will go fucking crazy over that, because I think it's a cool idea. It's like that type of stuff inspires me when people actually like what I've made, because I'm an artist. I'm a creative person. And so I think that's also why I have such an affinity for idols, because they're very creative too. And their producers are creative. And so, you know, I fit right in among them. And I think that's why I've been able to do what I've done, because they know my passion is real. And so it all kind of works together to keep me going. The things that have been difficult have been things, you know, money, you know, but it's like, for example, I have an idol who I had 3 idols that I had photo books set to go in April, and that all went to shit because I just couldn't do it because of COVID. But now, again, because the current thinking is we're going to be okay. One of the idols is like, her manager was like, can we resume what we were planning to do in April? I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do it. But that resuming means I got to come up with like close to $3,000. Now, I don't know where I'm going to get that. Like, I'm kind of right now checking into like, is there a blood bank here I can give blood? I don't know. Like, I'm selling off merchandise, like my own personal merchandise of Idol stuff. I'm doing everything I can to get the money to do that, because to me, I'm one of those people, I don't give a shit about money. I hate money. It's the devil. Like, money to me is just a tool to do creative things. It's not something I want or care about. But in that sense, it's like I've never been a rich person, but now it's kind of like I was on a steady balance of income until all this hit. So that's been not I don't know, it's discouraging, but only because, for example, I've seen very few orders come into Idol Underworld now because I can't ship anything out because of COVID. And so it's like people are just like, oh, I'm not going to buy now. And fair enough. I understand that. But it's also kind of like, well, if you don't buy, I'm going to have to shut my doors. Because eventually, in a couple months, I'm not going to have any money to even keep this up. And if I'm not meeting with these idol groups that much, it's like, if I don't even have money for train fare, how can I go meet groups and take Czechia now? You know what I mean? And so it's like, there is definitely kind of that feeling of discouragement that, like, I'm kind of hoping more people will get behind this and help me. But I also don't expect it, as weird as that sounds. Like, it may sound like what I just said sounds like I expect, but I don't. But it's more like, I'm doing this because a lot of the fans have inspired me. I mean, there's still like a lot of people that are, not a lot, but there's some people that are like, they've heard my SOS call and they're like, here, I'll just buy something. I can't wait for it to come. Whatever it does, I hope this helps you, Derek. And I'm like, God bless you. I love you. Like, you guys are the best for doing that. It's so fucking cool. But at this point, it's almost like I'm drowning at that point. So I got to get through all that. I got to get that photo book thing done because I'm not going to say no to Idol. Like, this Idol deserves it, and she means so much to me. Her manager is so kind to me. I am not going to let them down. So like I said, if I have to give blood, I'll give blood. Like I will do whatever it takes to fulfill this vision of mine. But at the same time, once the Idol lives get back, I'm kind of hoping things will be good. But then the other thing that's a little bit discouraging that kind of has been on my mind a lot lately is that, and this is another rule about Idol, is that there's no loyalty in Idol. That you could be very close with an Idol or an Idol group one minute, and then they're not close with you anymore for whatever reason. Like, I don't want to say who, but there's one Idol group in particular. I used to talk to their producer all the time. We were real tight. And then, like, lately, I don't get any messages, nothing, no emails, nothing. That's not like this person. But then when I see them in public, they're all kind to me. They're all super happy, friendly, and then I can even work with them. Like, if I need to take Czechia of this group's members, no problem. But that you would think an email would be, oh, hey, it's good to hear from you. How you doing? No, nothing. And that's so weird. So it's like, that's over and over and over again. It's one of the most frustrating things I do is like having these connections with these groups. And then they when I'm zigging, they're zagging. And I don't get it because it's like we were both zigging together. You know what I mean? And so that's been a little bit of a frustration point, but it's not going to stop me. I mean, like, for every Idol group that, well, to me, that just fucking shoots themselves in their foot by not working with me, there's groups that see clearly what I'm offering and they jump at the opportunity to work with me. I'll work with them. Like, the group Last Question, they were a group that were really good friends with Mary Baden, still are. And there's a group I'm very familiar with. And, they know me. I know them. I've always wanted to work with them, but I didn't quite know how to, like, approach them. And I was just like, I want to work with them, but I didn't quite know how. Mary Baden kind of encouraged me to do that, and so I did. And the second I got that deal lined up with Momoetan is like, they're self-produced kind of, sort of, but she basically runs it. Well, they all run it together, but I'd say she's kind of like the top dog of that group. As soon as I wanted to do this, like, we exchanged line, we talked quite a bit online about, like, what to do. I had a meeting with them in their group, and then the next time I saw them to make it official, to take all their Czechie, she had a gigantic bag of all their merchandise labeled how much how much to sell, how many, the quantity, what the names were in English and Japanese. I mean, she had everything fucking organized to a T. And she's like, please sell this as best you can for us. And I'm like, fucking A, I will destroy this for you. And I have.
Wow.
Because she trusts me. And it's like, she saw it right away. Like Hanako. Hanako-san saw right away what I can offer. That's why we have done so much together. And that's why she trusted me to do crazy shit in her photo book for her. Like shit that, I mean, it's insane what we did. And it's like, she trusted me because she's known me forever. But it's also because she sees the opportunity that I'm a good portal for her, for the foreign fans. Because when she first started, I don't think she was too keen on foreigners. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I would say, like, it was a less than, like, symbiotic relationship there. But then she went on, she did the East Meets West show that I did in Los Angeles, and she was the most popular idol there. I mean, her line was out the fucking door for Jackie. And then she did the European tour, and she got even more famous. And then she realized, like, fuck, I got a pretty damn sizable Kai Guy fan base. I need to really pay attention to them. And so she hooked up with me right away with that, because it was like, sure, Derek, I'll do it with you, you know? And so, yeah, we haven't looked back. She's my biggest seller. You know, she crushes it because she really loves her fans. And then she's in my documentary a lot. And, like, she actually gave me, like, rare permission to film her. My footage in my documentary is actually on national Japanese television because she went on TV. She got famous. And, like, she was on a couple programs here. So she was on fucking a TV show with Sashi Haruhino. You know, so it's like, they used my footage in that program. And I was like, oh my God, they had my name on national Japanese television. I was like, yes, that's all Hanako. Because it's like, how do I put it? She's loyal, you know, and she gets it. But there's a lot of groups that, like, it would make total sense to work with me, and they don't. And I'm just like, what the living fuck? And to give you, I think if anybody knows me, they can think of probably two groups right off the top of their head that, like, why aren't they on Idol Underworld? I'm not talking about Necroman because that was a whole different thing. But there's two other groups that should be on Idol Underworld right now, and they're not for X, and X reasons, and it just blows me away when they know how deeply I love them. I mean deeply. So it's like, what can I do? That's here, you know, no loyalty, but it's okay. Like, I've learned to not take that personally as much anymore. I've had some good idol friends who know the idol business as much as I do, or they're like, they given me different perspectives that help me kind of understand this, and to have been like, Derek, just don't worry about it. Like, there's so many other groups, and they're right. For every group that I may want to work with, that I have a deep passion for, there's other groups I also have passion for. I'll just go after them. Or I'm always seeing new groups that blow me the fuck away, and I'm just like, oh shit, I got to work with them. And a lot of times those groups they'll at least listen to me. You know, they won't always get back to me, but they'll at least listen, and that's cool. You know.
Jeez, I mean, Derek, I say this to you all the time, but I feel I'll never be able to quite say it enough. It is amazing, like, all the work you do. And when I look around and I think of the community that we're a part of, it's insane just how much we rely on you, you know, for that. I mean, the pressure must be insane, yet you continue to push yourself. You start project after project. You bring group after group to Idol Underworld. It's amazing. Dude, you are amazing. I cannot thank you enough for that. So,
thank you.
So how can I and others, the listeners and your fans, continue to support you?
Send me Twinkies. Inside joke. So it's kind of like, how do I put it? There's really simple ways you can do this, and it's very simple. Number one, support the idols. You know, support them, because without them, I don't exist. So really, number one, you know, you just cannot understand or not. Maybe a lot of fans don't realize it, but your tweets to idols mean so much to them. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a room with, like, the Maribeth N members, and they're just on their phone reading the tweets, and they're just, like, so happy. Or they're, like, so depressed if it's not a good tweet. But it's like, you know, like, that shit matters to them. It matters a lot. So support the idols so they have a reason to be in this business, which in turn means I have a reason to be in this business. Because, again, I work with idols I love and like and need to work with. And if they leave, that's less reason for me to be here. So that's number one. Just always support the idols. And you can also support them through the next thing, which is go to Idol Underworld and buy everything. Even if you don't like a group, or not necessarily like her, if you have no idea what the group is, take a fucking chance. Like, I like how many times I've been to Taibons here as a fan and also as a staff person, and I had no idea about a group, and I left that Taibon thinking I just found my favorite group in the whole world, because it's like that's how you do it. Like I have look at my Idol Underworld page as a big Taibon, an Idol Taibon, and if you do that, and if, for those of you who don't know what a Taibon is, it's an Idol live where you have many groups performing. It's called Taibon. But look at my Idol Underworld page like that. And be like, okay, well, I came to Idol Underworld to see, I don't know, Hanako-san, but what's this Lily Kaona group? I'm curious about them. Let me buy a CD from them. Because you will expand your Idol your vocabulary of Idol, your awareness of Idol, and you never know what group is actually going to be that group that just destroys you. And yeah, you can go on YouTube before you buy anything, you check them out. That's cool too. And I'm all for that, but I also think it's just really cool to just go and just say, fuck it, I'm going to buy shit, and I'm going to support these girls. Sell out their Checky, or, buy their CDs. And it's like, I work very hard to get some of this stuff. Like, I don't think people understand sometimes how hard it is. I have to literally, fucking be on some groups every fucking minute of the week for them just to send me shit. And it's just like, that's hard, because I have to not take that personally, but it's like, Jesus Christ. Do you want to make money? Because I can make you money. So send me your stuff, and I'll make you money. But they don't look at it like that, because there's a million other things come into the factor of doing this. And so please support them by buying stuff. And the other thing is too, for any groups you want to see on Idol Underworld, you should message them and tell them that. Be like, yo, work with Derek. He's awesome. Get on there now. I only want to buy shit at Idol Underworld. And that's actually worked. That worked for one Idol. Non had heard from a lot of fans, and then she reached out to me, and she's like, yeah, do you want to work together? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I do, because I've known you forever, and I always said we should work together, so yeah, let's make it happen. Now we're cool as shit, and we work very closely together. So it's like that also happened because fans were really hounding her about it. I'm not saying hound as in harass, but I'm saying let them know, and there's a lot of groups that might, they'll hear that, and they might shoot me an email. Yoniko did that, and so it's like that has an effect. And then of course the last thing is, give me money, support me on Patreon, and I can give you cool shit on Patreon. If you don't want to just give me money and be cool, go on Patreon, I'll give you something back. I'm all about fair trade. Save your money for my doc, because the tiers for the Kickstarter are not cheap, because I have to raise a lot of money just to break even. I would like to make money so that I can live here peacefully, but that's the other thing. I am kind of getting into a financial situation where in a couple months I will literally be flat out broke. And so unless the Idols live start picking up and I start getting back into this routine, which I don't know when that's going to be, I'm really depending on all of you to kind of say, hey, here's some money, I can help you. I mean, every little bit helps. I need a lot, but you'd be surprised. I mean, for example, I'm using an iPhone 5S. How fucking old is an iPhone 5S? I can't even take it off the charger without, in about 5 minutes, the battery goes dead. And it's so I have to have this gigantic charger attached to it. It'd be nice to get a new iPhone. I mean, I need it because it's everything. My whole life is on my iPhone. All my Idol contacts are on there. I lose my iPhone, I don't have a job anymore. So it's I need that, I need a new computer, little things like that. You'd be surprised, if you could help me with, could make my job, my life a lot easier. So anything you can do would be great. But even if it's $20 or $10, that's a konbini chicken that I can eat, and a Coke. And that's pretty much what I live on these days, because I can't afford to eat at real restaurants. So, that would be cool. And yeah, Twinkies. Send me Twinkies, because I really miss them.
I'm surprised you want any more Twinkies after the last ones.
I ate a whole box. That was stupid to me. My stomach was why? I was I can't help it. So yeah, Twinkies and salsa. I love salsa. So
that is great to hear, dude. I mean, honestly, I will continue to support you, and I'm sure that everybody else will, because everybody I've spoken to, in the community, they know who you are. They support you. I will say I've never heard any bad word about you or Idol Underworld or anything in that respect. So I do honestly believe that you do have everybody's support. I hope that they will kind of reach out financially, especially given the current situation. Like you say, any little helps. I do hope that things pick up in Japan soon. I do hope that the lives will get back to going. What's it looking like at the minute, the lockdown in Japan? How is it kind of going?
I mean, yeah, like as you'd asked, I mean, it's basically, you know, wait and see. I mean, just now they're talking about lifting the lockdown here in Tokyo, or they are. I don't know if that means the live houses will reopen, and if so, who's even going to play? So many live houses have shut their doors because of this, which sucks. I mean, I've had enormous memories at some of these live houses that I can't have more memories at, and just knowing that I can't ever see another live at those live houses, it breaks my heart. But at the same time, I don't really have a clear answer as to what it means on the idol front. I know we all want to get back, but we also, you know, a lot of these are young girls and their parents are scared to death their little children, their little daughter's going to get fucking sick and die. And that's a legit fear, you know? So I get it, but I also feel like, well, it's either we just, you know, stay indoors forever, or we say, look, here's the risk. We're going to go out just like we do every time we go out, and we can get the flu and every other virus that's out there. Because everybody kind of forgot, like, there's a hell of a lot more out there that can kill us than this. So I don't know. Kind of a weird situation.
Well, I hope that it definitely kind of picks up soon in the safest way possible. I hope that, you know, you guys will all find yourselves in a position where you can kind of continue getting back on track with everything. So we're gonna start to wind it down. I've got 2 questions for you, Derek.
Sure.
A man such as yourself, who has all this kind of pressure and all these kind of tasks that you have to do daily, how do you wind down?
Well, I mean, you know, movies and music are my life, so it's more like I don't really take that many breaks. But like, for example, I have my brother like let me use his Netflix account, and so I've been watching like shows on there while I work, and that's been kind of cool. Like I'm watching Narcos, and that's been fucking fascinating. And I love it, and so that's been cool. Really, just kind of, how do I put it? I haven't really had much of a chance to wind down. Actually, now that I think about it, usually like when I'm working at Idol, it's like I'll go to an Idol live as a fan and wind down, and I'll just relax and enjoy a good live. Like I was a big fan of Gochasto, so when Gochasto was around, I would go all the time to see Gochasto and just, oh my god, laugh my ass off because their fans are hysterical. And also just have a good time because their music is the shit. It was like some of the best Idol music I ever heard in my life. And so that was a big wind down for me. So I'll usually find a group or something and I'll go, or I'll just chill, you know. I'll just kind of like watch stuff on YouTube if I can, and that's helpful as well. But there's not much, you know. It's like for me, winding down is sort of kind of what I do when like I can't see straight anymore because I've had the best day ever with Idols, and I just pass out, you know, but I also don't sleep very much. So, you know, that's, I need to get back to a normal schedule.
Oh, bless you, dude. Well, I hope that you obviously take care of yourself as best as you can. You know, you do need to kind of find time to wind down. Otherwise, you know, you can end up kind of getting far too stressed. I'm going to ask you a question that the previous 2 guests have not been able to answer.
All right.
If you owned a bar, what would you call it?
Isn't that obvious? Come on.
Idol Underworld?
Yeah, come on. I mean, that's like the perfect party.
That, to be fair, that does sound like a place that you'd expect to see. You know, Hanako-san live at Idol Underworld this Thursday night.
Right? I mean, of course. I mean, well, also it's about branding, man. You want to be a good marketer, you got to know your brand. Like I'm going to start making like stickers and T-shirts for IU. Eventually, like once I get to a certain level, I'm reaching for. But it's like branding's very important. And so, of course, if I have a bar and I can name it after what my business, hell yeah. Because you go inside and there'd be all the Idol merchandise. You could buy it right there. How cool would that be?
Dude, that would be awesome. Yeah, franchise. As soon as you get T-shirts, dude, I will definitely rock one of those around the English countryside.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. I really do. Well, my goal there is kind of like, as far as like once the world gets back to normal or whatever, and like people will actually start traveling again, the idols all feel safe about traveling. I am 100% planning a tour with like idol groups, including Europe is like destination number one. We want to come to, well, actually, we're thinking about Germany or the Netherlands or France. England would be on the list too, of course. So I will be bringing groups, and this time it'll be more my thing. Before I was with Necroma was their thing, and that's fine because I mean, me and Ricky we busted our ass to make that those tours work, along with Orion UK and England. Like Chris, me and Chris work together a lot. We're cool, but I definitely want to make it something where it's like my vision, like what I'm trying to do, and I have a huge plan. And the groups that I've approached to do it, they are 100% on board. I mean, well, today again, here today, gone today, and no loyalty. So we'll see when it actually happens if they're on board. But at this time, everybody is super pumped with my idea. It's a cool idea. So once all that becomes something feasible where we can actually make it happen, I will be everywhere and with these groups, and we will be touring because all these groups that I work with, they all have one thing in common. They have a passion for going overseas, and if you're with me, that's going to happen. So.
Dude, I will 100% support you in everything you do. You know that, and I'm sure everybody else will as well. If you were to do the tour, I would come to every single location. So that sounds good to me. But I hope that everything that you plan from this point goes great, and I hope that everything works out 110%, dude. I really do.
Thank you. And I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate the fact you're allowing people like me to have a little bit of a voice in the world. I hope people listen to this and A, don't think I'm too long-winded, but B, just enjoy and appreciate maybe some of the stories I've shared, and also really do heed my call for help, because I kind of am in that position where I could use a Haversham or some kind of a supporter out there. And I feel like it would be really nice to not have to wake up and have that stress in my life. Like, oh, how am I going to eat today? Because I'm literally getting to that point. And again, not complaining. I'll make it work one way or the other. I'll do anything I have to keep staying in this position. I feel very blessed and humble to be in this position. And everybody that supports me, everybody means so much to me. And I feel like I got to keep doing this, And also, I love it. This is my life. I love what I do. I love the idols I work with, regardless of their attitudes or if they're friendly or not or anything. I don't care. It's like I get so much joy out of it. So I hope we can come back to that. And again, thank you everybody who's listening. Thank you everybody that's paying attention. And last thing I'll say, tonight, Japan Standard Time tonight, because it's Tuesday morning. So tonight around 8 o'clock or so, we are going to be doing the Mary Bad End internet live checky signing session. We're supposed to have it in April. That got postponed. So that's tonight. I will be putting up the Twitcast channel, the official Mary Bad End Twitcast channel, on Idol Underworld's Facebook page and on Twitter. And there will be a Discord channel that you can go to. And basically, if you want to take Checky of the girls, all you have to do is go to Idol Underworld and buy the Checky of the girls. It's you can pre-buy, and then you can actually, we're going to do video Checky. You're going to actually be able to see the girls and talk to them. If you want, you don't have to. You can just buy the Checky, and they're going to personally sign the Checky for you. And I have so many Checky to take today of the girls. I have to meet them so early, and we have so many Checky to take because we had over 100 people buy Checky. So, or 100.
I heard. Yeah, I heard. That is amazing. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. Congratulations to all of you for being amazing human beings and helping my girls like fucking rock it and helping me, because we didn't have that goal. We were thinking if we sell 20 or 30, we'd be happy. We didn't think 100. I don't think anybody I've worked with has ever done that. So. Honestly, thank you, especially because this is like the group I'm directly working for, and so they're so excited. Chihiro, Honami, they are so pumped for this tonight because again we've had a delay this whole month, so they are so excited. And I don't know how it's going to be. I mean, I imagine it'll be absolute chaos because this will be the first time we're doing it. But if it goes well tonight and if it's a good response, we want to do it again and again. Also, two other things. Mary Bad End opened up their own Patreon account. So in addition to my Patreon, you can support them on theirs. I'm running it. It's something we all thought a lot about. It's a lot of fun stuff on there. You can check that out. And then also, again, tonight, if you go to the Twitcast, you're inspired, then you can go to Idol Underworld, you can buy a Checky, and then you can join the Discord. and basically you will literally be able to do like a video checking, just like it's going to be just like if you were here in Japan. That was kind of my thinking, because all these groups are doing this, like, you know, the signing online and shit, but it's like no one's doing actual checking. So this will be the first, as far as I know, that anyone's doing this online, where you actually are going to be able to video like session chat with them. And the girls, they're a little nervous about that, but they're also like excited too. So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see what happens.
Well, it's going to be awesome. I, for one, am definitely going to be there. What's kind of strange is that you've said that it's tonight, whereas I'm still on the 25th. So I am yesterday your time. So I'm going to go to bed and then wake up and then attend the Checky meeting. I
should probably go to bed soon too. It's like almost 5 a.m, but I have like so much work to do still. So yeah, gonna get on that. But yeah, I'm excited to see you tonight at the session, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And the girls are excited. But again, thank you all of you who are listening, because I really can't do this without you. And you guys have so many of you been so fucking generous to me and to the idols, and just keep doing that, you know. But maybe, you know, again, like if any of you guys got like a rich friend out there who's like, you know, I got a couple extra, you know, $1 million, you know, just shoot it this way. Because I'm one of those people, I like, as an artist, again, maybe it's because I'm white, and maybe this is like white privilege entitlement thinking, and I hope it doesn't come off that way, but I feel like as an artist, I want somebody to just give me money so I can create art. And that's all I just feel like I don't want money to go buy a Lamborghini. And like the shoes that I'm wearing, they got holes in them. I mean, the idols are starting to make fun of me now, because it's like, they're silly, because it's not that I don't have money to buy shoes. It's like, I'd rather spend my money on other shit, like, that's creative. Like, for example, I have a part of my doc that requires like animation, and because I'm telling like a certain part in animation, I'd rather spend that money on that than buy myself a pair of shoes. Because to me, creativity is God. Creativity is king. And so it's like, if I could just find somebody that like wants to support the arts in that way, and look at me as somebody that's effectively in the trenches doing crazy shit, that would be the ideal situation. So right now, all of you out there listening that are Idol fans, you're effectively that for me. And I just kind of need to take it to the next level too, you know? And so I'm joking, but I'm kind of not. I'm also saying, like, you know, if you know people that like have a real passion for giving, and they got money, like, hook them up with me, because that's an investment they won't regret. I want to make beautiful things in this world happen, and I already have, and I'm proud of that. But I'm just starting. Honestly, this is just the beginning, and it's like to keep going though. It does require, you know, a lot of dedication on fans' part as well. But I'll, you know, thank you right now for everything up to this point. I couldn't be more grateful. I guess I'll just keep plowing away, and I hope all of you keep supporting away, if that makes sense.
We will continue to support you, dude, 110%. And I hope that other people out there who haven't yet looked into those options will definitely look into it. And we just look forward to just continuing to see you do great work, dude. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for being a guest on the show. Especially, I didn't even realize it was that time with you. So you have sat up all night to do this. So, dude, thank you so much. That is amazing.
These are like my peak work hours. I'm a night owl, so yeah, it's not really bad. If you would have asked me to do this at like 2:00 in the afternoon, it might have been hard. So it's like, this is like nothing. Thank you. No, really, thank you. This is fun.
Well, because we've mentioned that obviously there's the live Checky signing, I'm going to get this out as soon as, well, within the next few hours, so that people will have the chance to listen to it and prepare themselves for that Checky event. I hope that you will have kind of a few more join in. But until then, dude, I will be obviously with you this evening, so I look very much forward to that. And please wish the girls good luck. They're not going to be the only ones that are nervous. I assure you now.
Nah, they're great girls. They're not to be afraid of. They're really, really 3 of the most wonderful human beings you're ever gonna meet. So don't worry about it. Like, we're so excited. So thank you so much,
ladies and gentlemen. That was Derek Vasconi, who has been fantastic in joining us tonight. Thank you very much for listening. And until the next episode, stay safe, stay positive, and take care. Good night.
Good night.